Hey, it's Lockie here. I've just finished writing a new piano method book for beginners, Master Contemporary Piano. In this video, I'll walk you through the book chapter by chapter so you can decide if it's the right fit for you. So the key features of this book is it teaches contemporary piano skills and theory, covering note names, chords, inversions, scales, rhythms and progressions, all of which you can apply to modern music. The goal is to give you the tools to arrange popular songs from chord charts or work out music by ear. The book is organised into 7 chapters, each targeting specific skills for mastering contemporary piano. Exercises are short and manageable, typically 4 to 8 bars with clear learning objectives for every step. There's colourful chord diagrams you can use as a reference as you learn the notes of a particular chord. It encourages improvisation and creativity so you can have fun experimenting as you learn. You'll explore all 12 keys throughout the book, but each chapter focuses on 4 keys that are strategically selected to make learning chords as efficient as possible. While it's designed for beginners, this book is also great for experienced players who want to explore a more contemporary approach. It's especially helpful for singers or accompanists, gigging musicians looking to build a set list, or music producers who want to level up their skills with MIDI controllers. So there's no rush with this book. Take your time with each exercise until you're fluent. While working through this book, you're encouraged to adapt the skills that you learn on the pieces that interest you. So now let's look at the chapters. So in chapter 1 is all about the piano basics. It builds a solid foundation by covering guidelines for effective practice, the physical technique including posture and finger placement, the elements of music, bass, harmony and melody, and how these parts are played on the piano, formats of sheet music and how to understand them, and the names of all the piano keys. This leads into the first exercise where you practice a 5-note pentascale in one hand position in a variety of keys, helping you to instinctively learn the piano key names, develop your finger coordination, and begin to read chord charts. Other topics include some rhythmic notation, playing 8th note subdivisions, and using the sustain pedal. The final exercises introduce chord progressions where you play root notes in the left hand and improvise with melodies with the pentascale in the right hand. So once you've mastered this chapter, you should be able to find notes quickly on the piano, follow basic chord symbols, and use all 5 fingers in both hands. In chapter 2, about triads, it focuses on building familiarity with chords in the right hand. So the first exercise focuses on mastering all 24 major and minor triads. Then we explore rhythmic combinations to create pop-style playing patterns. Then we look at understanding key centers and using Roman numeral numbering systems to create chord progressions. And then the last few exercises guides you to practice every suspended chord, every diminished chord, and augmented chord that there is on the piano. By the end of this chapter, you'll confidently interpret chord symbols and experiment with chords in a key. In chapter 3, you'll learn what chord inversions are and learn to create smooth transitions between chords in a progression. The first 2 exercises drill the first and second inversion shapes across all major and minor chords, and the last 2 exercises drills the concepts of voice leading. That is, to work out the best inversion shapes to use to create the smoothest sound. This exercise encourages you to drill each chord change in isolation and lead up to a 4-bar progression. You also experiment with different combinations of inversions so you're well equipped to implement chord inversions and voice leading into the pieces you want to play. In chapter 4, it's all about parent scales that underpin melody and harmony in music. So the first exercise will teach you shortcuts to find the major and minor scales using pentascale patterns. Then we look at improvising melodies and using interesting chord shapes over chord progressions. Then we look at the chromatic scale to learn the proper crossing over and under technique, which can then be later used to play major and minor scales. We also explore the relationship between major and the relative minor keys. At the end of this chapter, all 24 major and natural minor scales are included with the correct fingering in the right hand for further practice. In chapter 5, you'll learn all about the 7th chords and you'll expand your harmonic vocabulary by mastering major 7th, minor 7th, dominant 7, diminished 7th and half diminished 7 chords. We'll also apply these chords to different progressions like the 2-5-1 and the circle of fifths. So by the end of this chapter, you should have a good understanding for 7th chords and how to treat them when they come up in a chord chart. In chapter 6, we look at rhythm and groove. So we start learning how to divide the beat into 8th notes, dividing the beat in half, or dividing the beat in 4, or dividing the beat in 3. We also look at swing rhythms where pairs of notes are played at a 2-to-1 ratio. The exercises in this chapter will develop hand independence by presenting you different left hand and right hand playing patterns, and you're encouraged to try combinations of those hand patterns to work on hand independence. And the last exercise in this chapter introduces common pop grooves that you can apply to many different pieces. And the last chapter looks at chord progressions, and it explores how chords function within a key, and then we look through all sorts of chord progressions with song examples. We look at the chord progressions in a range of keys so you can get used to playing chord progressions in all 12 keys. We also look at slash chords, that's where chords are over a bass note that is different from the root note. And we look at modal progressions to start getting a feel for modes. In the conclusion, I look at future steps, so once you've mastered these exercises, what to focus on next, and plus there's a glossary to clarify musical terms. Thank you for checking out this overview of Master Contemporary Piano. If you're interested, the link to purchase is in the description, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I usually respond within 24 hours. Thanks for watching and happy practicing.